So once again, good morning everybody. Good morning to all to everyone who is here in the shrine. At the same time to all those who are following us, either on social media, on Facebook. And it is our day today, the Salesian educators, Salesians and lay mission partners. I'd like to ask, sino sa inyo yung nagsisimbang gabi rito or Misa de Gallo, taas yung kamay? No? Okay. I ask that because the readings that we have yesterday and then today, during the day, are familiar to you because you have heard them. Yung mga binabasa natin from the 17th or to the 24th, yung tinatawag nating Christmas octave. Yung alam natin, novena, di ba? Novena is 9 days. But when you go to our sacred books, the liturgy, yung lectionary natin, sacramentary, it puts a special weight on the octave. Octave, no? Kung kayo'y musician, it is do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do to do. That's 8 notes. And here, it's 8 days, yung 17 to 25. And then from 25 to the 1st, those are again 8 days. So they're the octave. I'm focusing on this because we have heard a reading from the octave, and it is for December 19. And many of these readings, or the readings that we have for these days, are especially from the Gospels of Matthew and Luke. Pag titingnan ninyo yung tungkol sa pagkapanganak ni Jesus, go to those two Gospels, Matthew and Luke. So parang formation tayo ulit ngayon, no? So when you go to those two Gospels, yung chapters 1 and 2, they are what we hear these days. At pag tinignan nyo yung Belen, no? When you look at the Belen, I hope you have your Belen at home, we have our Belen here, there are several elements, no? And then it's a matter of looking, saan sila galing? Are they from Matthew or from Luke? Of course, what is common among all of these is Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, who appear in both Matthew and Luke. Pero merong mga particular elements. Halimbawa, yung mga pastol at yung mga tupa, saan nyo makikita yan? You see that in Luke. Tapos yung star, no, yung tala. And then the wise men, you find that in Matthew. Yung pinanganak si Jesus sa sabsaban, saan nyo makikita yan? You see that in Luke. Sa Matthew, he was born in a house. Pero he was born in Bethlehem. And so on and so forth. Meron ba tayong hindi nabanggit sa mga elements na nasa Belen? Tignan ninyo. Meron bang wala dun sa nabanggit ko? Alam nyo, ito'y nakakaligtaan ng marami. Nakikita ninyo sa Belen pero hindi ninyo pinapansin. Akala ninyo hindi importante. Ano yon? Kulang dito eh. Yung ox and the ass. Yung makikita nyo lang dito yung ox, no? So yung mga nasa pre-nob community, no? Pader, kumpletuhin natin to. Kasi importante yung ox and ass. Bakit? Saan natin makikita yan? Is it in Matthew or in Luke? Neither. Pero makikita natin yan sa book of the prophet Isaiah na sinasabi, no? The ox knows its Lord, the ox knows its master, and the ass knows its Lord. But my people do not know. My people do not understand. Israel does not know, my people do not understand. Parang mabuti pa yung ox, tsaka yung asno, yung donkey, alam nila yung Panginoon nila, pero itong mga dapat makaalam kung sino yung Panginoon nila, hindi nila alam. Yes, why? Because Jesus manifested Himself to those who are lowly, like the shepherds, to those who know that they do not know everything, the wise men, symbolized by those who accepted their master, the ox and the ass. It's the encounter with Jesus. My dear friends, yesterday I was telling you about that. It's not so much celebrating the season, but knowing the reason. Ano yung dahilan kung bakit tayo nagdiriwang? And the best thing is that encounter with Jesus, to have our hearts lowly. Kanina nagsabi si Father Abel, sana as much as possible yung mga nandito, nagtitipon dito, that you are able to receive communion. Look at your counterparts, those who are at home, unable to do that. Yung mga nanunod ngayon, they would have a spiritual communion, but they would not be able to receive the Lord physically. Kaya nga, meron chance para makapagkumpisal para sa mga nandito. Why? Why am I telling you this? Yesterday I was talking about gift. What is the greatest gift that you can give to the Lord? You know what? To be in the state of grace. Ano ibig sabihin nun? That you are at peace with God. That you have confessed, that you are not conscious of any grave sin in your heart. And thus you will be able to receive the Lord in Holy Communion. That is the best gift that you can give to Him. Alam niyo, we give gifts to each one. At pag inisip natin, anong best gift para dito sa mga anak ko, para sa asawa ko, para sa mga magulang ko? Can we not give the best to the Lord? My theme for today, as we celebrate this is Pasko na. Ulitin niyo ngayon? Ulitin niyo. Pasko na. These days are already Christmas. And I will tell you something later which is related to Pasko na. Pero let's go to our reading for today. Alam niyo, isang theme ay barrenness. Ano itong barrenness na ito? In the first reading and in the gospel, merong mga hindi makapaglihi at hindi makapagsilang ng sanggol. Sino? Yung asawa ni Manoah at yung si Elizabeth. They were barren. And in those times when you are barren, it is a curse. In the Bible, marami tayong nakitang ganyan, Hannah, the mother of Samuel, was barren. Si Rachel, was barren, and later she was able to give birth. And many of these barren women, they were able to give birth later on. But it's that disposition to receive God's gift na maski na nakita natin, it may be a curse. And even now, there are couples who seek counseling because it is a terrible tragedy in their life if they do not have children. Imagine I do not know if you know a couple who would not be able to bear children. And then maybe in the first years of their life, it's so uncomfortable when people would ask them, magkakaanak na ba kayo, etc. And then all the years, and then lilipas yung maraming taon, until a time would come, hindi na magtatanong yung mga tao, and then it would just be accepted. But imagine the pain for both the husband and the wife. But we see here a couple already in that advanced stage of barrenness, hindi magkaroon ng anak. And so, si Zacarias at si Elizabeth, they were an elderly couple without children. At the same time, itong si Zacarias, isa siyang saserdote. He was a priest in the temple. Hindi tulad ng pagkapari dito sa ating mga Katoliko, Yung mga pari, you would see them concelebrating, and then they can celebrate the Holy Eucharist every time. Pero iba yung nasa lumang tipan, or even in the time of Jesus. When the temple was still there, the priest can only serve in the temple. At isa lang yung temple, nasa Jerusalem. And at the time of Zechariah, there were a lot of priests. And they had to do it one by one. They had to take turns. Siguro bunutan yun, At in his advanced age, at least bago siya mamatay, si Zacarias, nagkaroon siya ng chance to offer incense. And so he was there. Ang tawag doon ay Holy of Holies. Yung kalagitnaan ng templo, na walang ibang makakapasok kundi yung pari. And he would be offering that sacrifice. And it was in that moment of prayer when God revealed Himself to Zechariah. But first, let's see, what was he praying for? Ano yung pinagdarasal niya? In this moment, as a continuation of your recollection, of course, that was a beautiful conference by Father Kit, but I'd like to continue it, I'd like to give you, we did not have a lot of silence in between the Mass, in between the recollection and the Mass, pero I want you to take a moment's silence, please follow my instructions, both for those who are here in the church and those at home. So this is my first instruction. Can you close your eyes? Everybody close your eyes. And then I'll give you 30 seconds. In this 30 seconds, communicate with the Lord. Sabihin ninyo sa Kanya, yung nasa puso ninyo, yung panalangin ninyo, the greatest prayer or the prayer that is your priority at this moment. Sige, ibulong ninyo sa Kanya, I'll give you 30 seconds. Okay, you may open your eyes now. A moment like that is something to be treasured. Ano ba yung binulong nyo sa Panginoon? Maybe no need to tell everyone right now if you want to share later. But that is important. And it is what Zechariah was doing, praying to the Lord. Hulaan ninyo, anong panalangin ni Zacarias? Hulaan ninyo. Anybody? Ano kayang dasal niya? Ma'am Jill. Ano ba? Magkaanak? Sa tingin niyo, yun yung panalangin niya? Kung kayo senior citizen na at may asawa kayo, walang anak, yun pa ba yung panalangin ninyo? Lord, sana po magkaanak pa rin kami. 60 years old, above, 70, 80. Siguro hindi na yun yung panalangin niya. Siguro all through his life, nung bata-bata pa siya, yun yung panalangin nila. Pero at that moment, siguro ang panalangin niya, sana I spend my last days in peace. Sana I would see the coming of the Lord. Sana I would see the promises of the Lord to Israel being fulfilled. Yun siguro yung panalangin niya. Pero siguro, nung bata-bata pa siya, yung dasal niya, something unexpected happened. Yun ang binigay sa kanya. Hindi na niya hinihingi siguro ngayon, but maybe it was something before. Kaya nga yung sabi sa gospel, yung sinabi ng anghel, that the Lord has heard his prayer. That is something in our life. When the Lord hears our prayer, at kung minsan nagdarasal tayo para sa isang bagay, hindi binibigay ng Panginoon. Pero anong binibigay niya? Something greater than whatever we have asked for. Ano yung tawag doon sa isang regalo na binigay sa'yo na hindi mo hinihingi? Ang tawag doon ay gratuitous gift. Can you say that? Gratuitous gift. Hindi mo hiningi, binigay ng Panginoon. Mga kapatid, malay ninyo, may ibibigay sa inyo yung Panginoon. Pero because He has heard your prayer, ano yung team natin kaninang sinabi ko? Pasko na. Ito yung ano yung kahapon na narinig natin? Planong nasira, di ba? Natatandaan nyo? Planong nasira. Ngayon meron akong bibigay uli, PN din, Panalangin narinig. Yung panalangin ni Zacarias, narinig. Yung panalangin ninyo kanina, maririnig ng Panginoon yon. Which brings me to this point, no? A while ago, Father Kit was telling you about a word, an important word. Ano yung word na yon? Ano yung word na binigay niya, yung nilagay niya rito? Marami ba yon? Starting with letter H. Hope. Marahil pag tinignan ninyo yung mga pagbasa ngayong simbang gabi na ito, yung mga pagbasa that began during the season of Advent, they're all about hope. Sino sa inyo yung kapampangan dito? Anybody? Ayun, si Father Abel, no? Yan. May challenge ako na may question ako. Ano sa kapampangan ang hope? Pag tinatanong ko ito, sumisigaw yung mga tao, hope. Okay. Ano sa kapampangan ng hope, Father Abel? Okay, sa inyo hope, di ba? Sa Angeles. Ang kapampangan ng hope ay kapanayan. Ulitin nga ninyo yun? Kapanayan. Any word that comes to your mind when you say kapanayan, Father Abel? Within the word. Panayan, right? What is panayan? Panayan is wait. Okay? Panayan is wait. That when we hope, we wait. That when we hope, hindi lang tayo na, nakatungangang ganon, pero it's an active waiting. Okay? Halimbawa, may darating na magsaswab test sa bahay ninyo, you wait, di ba? There's an anticipation. And so, when we say hope, in this season of Advent, in this novena masses for Christmas, we wait, naghihintay tayo. Kanina, hindi ka nag-start yung ating recollection. So, everyone was waiting. Maybe some patiently, maybe some impatiently, but we were waiting. And it's a very important aspect. Ano sa Tagalog yung hope? Pag-asa. Umaasa pa ba tayo? Is there still hope? May pag-asa pa ba tayo? Kasi parang naiba na yung ihip ng hangin. Na kapag sinabi mong yung word na asa, no? O asa ka pa. Ano sasabihin? Ano yung ibig sabihin nun para dun sa sinasabihan mo? Hopeless. Para maghintay ka sa wala, di ba? Asa ka pa. Pero baligtad, pag umaasa tayo, alam natin may darating. I'd like to share with this to you with this thought. Nung ako'y gumagawa ng thesis sa philosophy, yung kinuha kong philosopher, pangalan niya Ernst Bloch. At si Ernst Bloch, he is called the philosopher of hope. Why? Kasi sabi niya, yung essence ng isang tao, hindi siya tao kapag wala yung hope sa kanya. That is the essence of the person, that we have hope. Sabi nga niya, no, yung pag-iisip ganito, denken heißt überschreiten, sabi niya, no? Pag nag-iisip ka, thinking is venturing beyond. Na pag nag-iisip ka, anong naisip mo? Yung hinaharap, yung matatamasa mo. Pero you know, it's so disappointing when I studied him. Kasi, in the end, he says, when you die, you die. He's a Marxist atheist. No more life after this. So, yung hope na yun lahat ng sa buhay mo, then, sa wala. Yun yung asa ka pa. Pero meron isang philosopher, si Gabriel Marcel, ito yung kanyang word for hope. Hope in somebody. Yun yung ating hope. Why do we hope? Because of that somebody who has come to be with us. Emmanuel, God is with us. And you know what is the reason why we hope? Because we know that God can be trusted. Yung Diyos ay mapagkakatiwalaan. Kaya nga, may saysay yung dasal natin. If we do not hope in God, we will not pray anymore. A while ago, when you closed your eyes, you prayed and you were hoping. You know, like the rest of the world now, who has suffered so much, each one of us hopes. Each one of us would hope that 2021 would be better. And what gives us hope? It is because we trust in God. Pasko na. Planong nasira. Panalangin narinig. Ngayon, pangakong natupad. God fulfills His promise. He has come. I'd like to end with this thought, no? I mentioned this before. What is the word of the year for 2020 for many dictionaries? What is that? Maybe in our place, no? Lockdown. Pero in the whole world, in many dictionaries, pandemic. Pandemic is the word of the year. And I found this thought from dictionary.com. Sabi niya, pandemic, life upended, language transformed. Life upended means parang yung buhay, no? Everything turned upside down. Somebody pulled the rug from our feet. We were surprised. And life became different. Yung buhay lang natin dito sa Don Bosco as an EPC, it has changed. We have not imagined that the change would be as drastic as this. And the word from what I saw in that website, sabi, no, that the disease, pandemic, disease prevalent throughout an entire country, continent, or the whole world. That was the original definition of pandemic. Pero ngayon nadagdagan na, loss of life. 1 million people have already died because of the pandemic. Loss of livelihood. And even in our community, we're suffering because of that. Nothing has ever changed the world as much as this pandemic. And then language transformed. Before, children, students, we have heard of pandemic only in history books. Now, it is part of everyday speech. Na hindi ka mag-on ng TV sa news na hindi mo maririnig yung pandemic o pandemya, even how it is called, COVID-19. Because now, it is part of everyday speech. And how rare it is for the origin of the word to prove so literal. Ano ang ibig sabihin ng pandemic? What does it mean? Or where did it come from? From the Greek. Pan meaning all, demos meaning people, all people. And it's very literal. It has affected all people. And it ends with this: pandemic has affected the whole world. You know, it has affected life. It also reshaped our language. At yung mga sinasabi nyo kanina, all those other prominent words, dati hindi natin alam anong ibig sabihin ng asymptomatic. Dati hindi natin ginagamit yung words na contact tracing. Or maybe flatten the curve. Hindi natin alam expression na yon. Frontliner. Dati yung frontliner, those who are at war. Yung mga sundalo. Ngayon, iba na yung meaning ng frontliner. Lockdown. Now we know the meaning of lockdown. We know the meaning of PPE. We know the meaning of quarantine, social distancing, and so on and so forth. What happens here? It takes an event on the order of a pandemic to generate such innovation. They are now part of our lives. We know their meaning because it has come to us. And I'd like to end with that thought. Yung tunay na saysay ng Pasko, hindi natin madarama yan kung all we talk about is this materialism, consumerism. It will only be meaningful for us if we are in contact with these words, nay more, with the person, with Jesus, with the narratives, the stories that we hear, with the meaning that we find in the Belen, in the parol that leads, the Star of Bethlehem that leads us to the Lord. Mararanasan lang natin yan kapag alam natin what Christmas is all about. Otherwise, matatapos yung Pasko, balik tayo sa dating gawin. Ang pinakamalungkot na araw sa buong taon ay December 26. Kasi wala ka ng pera at akala mo tapos na yung Pasko. But if you know the meaning of Christmas, if you have Christ with you, then it will be different. Then, just like that word, it has come into your life. It has changed your life. It has changed your language. I'd like to end with those thoughts. The theme, Pasko na. Yesterday we've heard planong nasira, pero now, panalangin narinig at pangakong natupad. God bless us all.